answers to pull out, if possible. All Jesus had to do at that point was to say clearly. It's very, anybody can see it without even reading between the lines. All that Jesus had to do was to just say, look, I am not the king of the Jews. And Pilate was ready to, because they say that Pilate could see that the man was a fair and innocent person. The Bible says that. So he was trying to pull him out of the news. But at that point, when Jesus refuses to do it, Pilate says, look, I am washing my hands off. Here are the crowds crying for your blood. So he turns to the priests and others and says, take it, do what you want. My hands are there. So from this point, I took Pilate into Jesus' story. And Pilate is remembering writing a letter to his another friend who is who was another commander, saying that I had to hang a young man from the cross, and I had to do this. Frankly, I didn't think that he was as terrible as he was made out to be, and I tried to help him. He tells the story too, and his secretary is writing it down. And this is how the story develops. And then there's a point, actually his wife was a follower of Jesus. So after this, which is said in the Bible actually, his wife was, I forget her name, she was, in fact Bible says she saw Jesus in a dream and asked Pilate to save him. Things like that is there. So the novel ends where Jesus is supposed to resurrect, and these women, actually, it is a woman who meet him, and Jesus kisses a woman, one of them, and it goes into something like that. I forget again the last part.
What is this? You forget
Because there are too many.
But listening to you talk, Paul, is it true that in many ways you are attracted to the stories of religion, and in a sense you are shaped. You're even if it is in opposition, there is a magnetic force to those stories, and you are shaped by them.
No, it's not like that. Jesus is a very interesting figure, and he has filled my childhood, and I still believe he had stuff. He knew what he was talking about, and he believed in what he was talking about. So the man attracts me, and if I am able to, in the few stories that I have, 3 or 4 stories I've written about him, I would like to see if I can, reanalyze him as a human being. He was nothing but a human being with a gift for imagination, a gift for looking straight at what is inside the spirit of a person, and what you call a religious imagination. Of course, that also was there. So that is what fascinates me. Bible doesn't fascinate me except as like Mahabharata or Ramayana, as a kind of depository of stories. And it's full of, like Mahabharata, it is full of stories, extraordinary stories, human beings, situations and places. So I have not, amongst all the stories I have written, I think stories with Christian or biblical background must be just about 10%.
Paul, because as I said, I haven't read your writing in Malayalam, but in the tradition of Malayali writing, do you have kindred spirits, or are you unusually iconoclastic in the Malayali canon?
There have been people like Bashir, of course. Bashir was the man who took different stands, but then Bashir never attacked religion directly, because he was a very kindly man. He was too decent to go out and tell somebody that you are doing a wrong thing or attack or anything like that. Otherwise, I think the only man who has at least taken on Christianity is somebody from the Christian background. He was an extraordinary intellectual called C.J. Thomas. He was also a playwright, but above all, much more than a playwright, he was a fighter against the establishment, and he attacked communists, he attacked the church. And so what happened to him is, when he died and his books were there, books containing his articles and essays which contained his philosophical and intellectual views. The establishment in Kerala just brushed aside all those things and built him up as only as a playwright, and he was a very indifferent playwright, just almost a mediocre playwright. So the man got wiped out of the literary and intellectual scene especially the intellectual and political scene in Malayalam, and he was a man who really, if you ask me, I think I would only see him as a person who came before me and started this process of questioning.